It's time now for French Connections, our weekly look at the intricacies of life here in France with Florence Villeminot. This week, we're focusing on the ins and outs of the game of love à la française. Are dating rules different? And what about French attitudes to marriage, divorce, and infidelity? When it comes to romance, the French have a reputation of being passionate, first-class lovers. Is it just a cliché, Florence?
Well, we have a lot going for us, it must be said, Chris. So we do, French is called the language of love. Paris is the city of love. So it would seem that logical that the French would be really good at love. Well, there certainly is a long-standing tradition of seduction and flirting in France. It's seen as kind of just another part of our pleasure-driven lifestyle. When it comes to the dating game, though, it's very much less codified than in other countries. For instance, in the United States, there aren't rules about how to act, when to call the person back, or when to kiss for the first time. Sex and PDA aren't really as taboo here in France. There is perhaps one rule, though, that is that you don't really date several people at the same time. In France, you're pretty much exclusive. It must be said, though, the French, young or old, do take romance pretty seriously, and they're not ashamed to be romantic.
Well, like elsewhere in the world, the game of love here in France has been shaken up by online dating, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and it's really interesting to see how it's become less and less taboo over the years. Of the estimated 18 million single adults in France, about 20% of them are trying to find a love online. And there are all sorts of websites out there. There's something for everyone. There are sites according to your religion or your political affiliation or your profession. There's even a site for people looking for extramarital affairs, but we'll get to that in a minute. But interestingly, most people don't actually meet online in France. Friend circles and work are where the magic happens. For instance, 17% of couples say that they met at work. And now that might not seem very romantic, right? But you do spend a lot of time at work, and the people you work with tend to have, similar interests and backgrounds, etc. Now, is mixing business with pleasure a good idea? Not everyone seems to think so.
Le travail, c'est le travail. Après, vie amoureuse, c'est vie amoureuse.
Imaginez qu'on puisse passer son temps à se lever ensemble, aller travailler, aller sur le chemin de travail, travailler ensemble, passer la journée ensemble là-dessus. En plus de tout le reste, c'est pas évident.
Now, I'm not going to name any names, but there are a certain amount of couples here at France 24 and babies as well.
Indeed. Flo, if the dating scene is successful here in France, the next step might be marriage.
That's right. Now, each year in France, there are about 250,000 weddings. And interestingly, people are getting married later and later in life. For women, it's typically around 39 years old, and for men, about for women it's 37 years old, and for men it's 39 years old. The institution of marriage is still going strong here in France. According to a recent census, for instance, about 70% of couples are married couples, which I found very interesting. I was expecting it to be less. They don't all end happily, unfortunately, though. About 45% of couples end in divorce. Some say that the secret to happiness is not saying I do in the first place.
Moi, ça fait extrêmement longtemps que je suis avec mon compagnon, on a un petit garçon et on n'est pas mariés. On s'aime comme ça, il n'y a pas besoin de se marier pour s'aimer.
Oui, je me suis mariée, oui, même 3 fois. Mais non, je suis célibataire. Et je m'en porte très bien. La liberté, je trouve que ça n'a pas de prix.
All right, well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, infidelity. France is quite famous, or rather infamous, for being quite tolerant of infidelity. But do French people really cheat more on their partners?
Well, it's definitely a cliche that's perpetuated by pop culture. I mean, I don't know if you've watched any French movies recently, but every time I watch a French movie, I'm shocked by it. It just seems like everyone is cheating on everyone. Now, to have an affair in French is avoir une aventure, but this is one of my most favorite expressions, 5 à 7. Now, 5 to 7, what is that? Well, that's the time when people would go and meet with their lover after work before going home to their spouse. So that is a very French expression there. Is the stereotype true, though? Well, let's look at the stats. According to an IFOP poll from 2025, a quarter of French people say that they've already cheated on their partner. Interestingly, this is going down. 10 years ago, a third of French people said that they cheated on their partner. Now, do the French cheat more than in other countries? That's really hard to determine, because it's really hard to find statistics. And do people really admit when they cheat? That's another topic. But it does seem like French people are more open-minded and perhaps a little bit less hypocritical when it comes to infidelity.
On parle plutôt de liberté que d'infidélité, chacun étant finalement un petit peu libre de choisir ce qu'il veut faire, sans forcément se fixer.
Well, I have never heard of that 5 to 7 expression, so it could be a sign that that trend is decreasing. But let's end on a lighter note and more romantic. Valentine's Day, that's something that everyone can agree on, right?
Well, it's France, so no. French people are very divided and have strong opinions when it comes to Valentine's Day. About 50% of couples celebrate Valentine's Day. A lot of people are very proud not to celebrate Valentine's Day. It's something they love to hate. As for those who do celebrate, well, it's the same gifts as everywhere, and like chocolate and flowers, etc. But it's really interesting to hear what French people think about Valentine's Day.
C'est une belle fête, c'est une fête où on célèbre l'amour et la communion d'un couple, donc moi j'aime bien ça, c'est cool.
Après, c'est très commercial, hein. Acheter, encore acheter, acheter.
Un petit cadeau, des fleurs.
Ouais.
Ça peut être qu'un baiser aussi.
Ça peut être qu'un baiser, une nuit d'amour.
Lors d'une Saint-Valentin, on m'a déjà demandé en mariage. Donc du coup, oui, c'était assez symbolique pour le coup.
Et vous avez dit oui?
Oui, mais ça date d'il y a longtemps, mais oui, j'avais dit oui, ouais.
Et vous êtes mariée?
Non.
So it's good to see that romance isn't dead in France quite yet.
Exactly, Flo. Florence Villeminot, thank you very much for that. That's all that we have time for today's show, but be sure to check out previous episodes on our website, france24.com.